Hey guys, Dan and Mason coming back at you with another video on what we would do starting a land business today. The market has certainly changed from 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's a bit more competitive, but there's still a ton of opportunity, and we're going to talk through that today. Mason, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think to create kind of a caveat at the beginning of the episode is we're really focusing on if you were starting a land flipping business, not if you're looking to get into land. Because if you're looking to get into land, what I would recommend is one of two things, which is become a realtor and focus on
Mhm.
land because it's really nice only spending money on marketing and not having to really spend money on the asset that you're purchasing and flipping to be able to generate income and then go out and buy stuff.
Mhm.
Um, or I would go work for a really large, reputable company, whether it's a nationwide company in their land acquisition department, or someone like Dan and myself as an acquisition manager or cold caller or something like that. So this is if you're looking to actually start a land flipping business. You're ready to spend tens or hundreds of thousands
Mhm.
of dollars to build this business over the long term, as versus like I'm just looking to make money in the space of land.
Yep. No, I think that's well said, and I fully agree with that. So, if you're ready to start your business, there's three things we want to cover. We want to talk about data, strategy, and markets, because there's a number of things that are often taught that I think Mason and I disagree with pretty strongly. And so, we're speaking to someone that doesn't have a massive budget. If you're sending 40,000 mailers a month from day one, some of this might not apply. But under data, what I have, and this of course aligns closely with markets, so we're going to talk about those at the same time, really niche down. Number one, pick one or two markets that you decide, hey, I'm going to be the master of these markets. Make sure there's transactions happening, there's population growth, and then stick with them. Don't spray 12 different markets. And then, as a corollary to that, don't be lazy about the distressed lists. When you're new, you want to make sure your marketing dollars go as far as possible. So make sure for sure you're getting the tax lien lists. It's not going to be easy. You're probably going to have to call and talk to a bunch of incompetent government employees. You're not just going to find it online most of the time. And then if you can find code violation, probate lists, absolutely niche down. That's the main point I wanted to make, both about data and markets. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right on. And what's so funny to me is people will hear that and then they try and follow our strategy that we use. And they're like, dude, I only got like 100 records here and 200 records there and 400 records here. And like by the time I like figured out my all of the data within my market, I got less than 1,000 records. And that's okay. I think that from that, if you really understand it, you're able to put more marketing money into that actual list of people that you
Mm-hmm.
have that maybe are distressed or, maybe have owned the land for a long period of time, and you can get a little bit more creative and spend a little bit more money. I mean, at the end of the day, how long is it going to take you to handwrite 1,000 postcards or, letters that are most likely going to have 100% response rate? And cold call all those people and text all those people and hit them multiple channels multiple times, email them. Don't forget about emailing. I mean, I do all the time. And I'm like, shoot, I've got 300,000
Mm-hmm.
properties in my CRM and I've got email addresses for a lot of them. I need to probably start emailing these people too, because we forget that. So really, when you niche down in the market, get specific with the data and criteria that you're looking for, now you have the opportunity to hit them in every single marketing channel that you possibly can because you're not targeting 5 million people.
Yeah, strongly agreed. And look, I mean, if you're make sure it's somewhere where there is land. Don't try and do this in a Denver where there's only a few lots left, in the actual city. But another point I wanted to make is I would say start with neutral postcards or neutral letters. You want to have as many conversations as possible, be able to squeeze as much as you can out of the marketing dollars, and just get it reps in. So I would not start by sending land offer letters, especially if you're anywhere competitive. I think that's a very poor usage of your time and money relative to going the postcard route and talking to more people.
Yeah. And what's good too is at the beginning, like you do have the opportunity to set it up right. So whenever you're setting up your system, make sure you're keeping your data organized in your CRM. Make sure you're labeling and saving all your lists on your data provider, whether it's PropStream or someone else. And that way you can just go back and refresh and put it on a cadence and determine what that cadence is for the market of. It can be 12 times a year. of you're hitting them on a monthly basis of mail, call, text, mail, call, text, email, or something like that, and send them something different, and then do a really good job keeping track of it. So you can, at the end of a year, be able to say, hey, most effective was land offer letters. Like, we're not saying never send a land offer letter. People have had success with it. We're just saying don't start with it, because you want to start putting revenue in the first position, make a little bit of money first. And most likely, you're not going to get as high of a response rate. You want to be able to pick up the phone, and neutral letters are the most effective. And it can be a creative neutral letter. It doesn't have to be the 60 cents postcard. It can be the nice handwritten one or something like that. So, that's all I really wanted to add to that.
No, agreed. Now, I want to talk about strategy. And again, we're assuming you don't have a ton of money. You need to get a return on your capital quickly. You can't go buy flips that might take 6 to 12 months. I would do two things simultaneously, one for the short term and one for the long. And for the short term, I would be calling builders. So I would choose somewhere, going back to market, somewhere where builders are buying lots. I wouldn't start, this Eastern Colorado project I'm doing, Mason's helping me sell. I wouldn't start with that because there are very few cash buyers. There are no builders. Most people need terms. If you haven't watched our video on how to align your end buyer with your goals, absolutely watch that one. But I would start with somewhere where there are builders. I would call all the builders, get a relationship going so that I know I have end buyers and I can turn my deals quickly and start making money. And then in conjunction with that, and I'll pause after this, Mason, but in conjunction with that, I would start planning for one value add strategy that can be the core of my business for the long term, whether it's doing builds myself, subdivides, placing modular homes, etc. So that's where I would start strategy wise.
And the easy way to find out, is new construction happening in the area, and is that inventory turning over? I mean, use Zillow, filter for houses, filter for new construction or built in, the current year or the previous year, and just look at the sold versus for sale data and just make sure that there's new inventory transacting, and there's not like weird, scary indicators of no one's built a home in this market in 2 years. Like Dan and I have a dud of a land deal that we own in a Florida market, and there hasn't been a land transaction since we bought it. At the time when we bought it, it seemed like it was going to be a decent deal, but builders aren't building in that area. It's oversaturated. So these are all different market kind of indicators that you want to look at whenever you're going back to the beginning of choosing that data. And just like Dan said, figure a value add component, whether it's new construction or subdivision or something like that. Be thinking, short, medium, and long term. And that's still why I'm an advocate of becoming licensed. It's nice to be able to get that additional income stream coming in on a monthly basis that is not tied to me deploying a bunch of capital into a bunch of different assets. And it also makes it so where for all those people that want market price, I'm able to list their property for them. It's just vertical integration.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good value add, is having that license. But I think the biggest point is I wouldn't start this business predicated on the idea that the only thing I'm doing is buying low and selling high with no improvements. You always want to buy low and sell high, but what is the value add? I would pick something and plan to center your business around that. So at this point, I still get good deals where we just buy them off market at a discount, but the vast majority of ours, there's some sort of problem we're solving. There's one Mason and I are looking at funding where we'd be grading in a driveway, a building site, paying for the power meter very likely. Even something as small as that could be meaningful. So pick a value add that you want to center your business around and plan for that, even in the beginning when you don't have a lot of money and maybe you do need to start with just quick flips. And the quick flips will always come, but you'll have a much more insulated, sustainable business if it's centered around some sort of value add. So that's probably the biggest point that I want to make in this whole video.
Yeah. It's the simple land flips that you buy for cheap, sell for more with no improvements. Those are the lucky ones that you want on. But you can't build a business off getting lucky. You need to build a business on creating and adding value to the market that you're working in. So I think that's all we have really for today of a high level of what we would do if we were starting a land business towards the end of 2025. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, reach out. We would love your feedback on what value we can bring to the table with the content that we're putting out for you guys every day. So thanks, everyone.